Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome to Privilege Stash, the podcast, hosted by your boy, DocGreenbody. Appreciate y'all coming out. Here, we talk about everything exclusive, elite, and for the privilege, even the conversation. Once again, I like to say appreciate y'all for tapping in, checking out my last episode, checking out this episode, and just rolling with your boy, you know what I'm saying, to see what I have to say and what I have to talk about. Soon we'll have some people coming in, talking with me, you know what I'm saying, and just sharing the, platform and just opening up to broader information when it comes to things being privileged. As you're watching, don't forget to subscribe, like, post, tag, repost, all of that, you know what I'm saying? And I really do appreciate it. Today, we're going to be talking about the black market versus the legal market. You know what I'm saying? Which is a big thing because, here where I'm from, you know what I'm saying, Atlanta, everybody thinks it's legal. And it's not legal at all. I mean, flower, dabbing, all of that, it's not legal in Atlanta. But for some reason, it's been lightly talked about, you know what I'm saying, by those that matter, you know what I'm saying, in the cannabis industry, because we just appreciate being able to do what we do here. But it is not legal in Atlanta. It is legal in Georgia. It is 0.03 percentage of THC in any type of oil. Basically, that's it. Oil, that's it. CBD, all of that. You know what I'm saying? It has no THC in it. Basically, if you ask me, it's almost like the snake oil that's getting people, because some people do say it has an effect on them, but when it comes to certain things and with people's health, it's something called the entourage effect, which means, you know what I'm saying, it's something you may believe in, you know what I'm saying, it will help you, it will cure you, you know what I'm saying, and it's really about the mental, you know what I'm saying, whatever your mental believes, you can perceive it, and the same thing with your health. And when it comes to CBD and hemp, if you ask me, I don't really know too much about it as far as it being medicinal or anything like that. It's never really interested me because I believe that it does take full spectrum cannabis to be able to have the healing properties of the body that people need. So, let's just say that. And but back to the black market versus the legal market. Like I was saying, Georgia is not legal, but it seems like it is. You know what I'm saying? We have a lot of leeway here in Atlanta when it comes to authorities and people of that nature. And I keep saying Atlanta because all of Georgia is not like that. I mean, I wouldn't say that you could go to Augusta and do the same thing you do in Atlanta, or go to Macon and do the same thing you do in Atlanta, or go other places. Even though there's some places around the city of Atlanta and in Georgia that have decriminalized weed, which means that if you get caught with anything under an ounce, they're just going to give you a ticket or something like that, make you throw it away or whatever. But you're not really going to get in trouble. You're not going to be subjected to the $1,000 fine or probation that comes with it being totally illegal here in Georgia if it's above the percentage of THC in the product that you have. So that's when it's coming to edibles, vapes, dabs, flower, whatever it is, whatever they tell you it is. Now you do have your THCAs, which is basically weed before it's burnt, or cannabis before it's burnt. Once you add, flame or heat to cannabis flower or something like that, it turns into pure THC, basically. That's not what this show about. You can go check that out and do your own research. I advise people to, even if you're listening to me or what I have to say about something, go and do your own research, because, everybody's not right 100% of the time. And I learned in school that even if somebody tells me something, to go and do my own research, and I advise you to do the same. But once again, as far as it goes, is something like that, it's about, just being careful, and knowing where you're at, knowing where you're getting your product from, just being aware of your situation, whether it's THCA, CBD, or whatever, and if whatever helps you, I advise you to partake into that to help you have a better, fruitful life, whatever it comes from, whether it's THCA, whether it's CBD. But if you come to me, you're getting full spectrum, baby. Yeah, straight called unadulterated THC, full spectrum CBD, CBN, all the cannabinoids that come with the particular strain that you're dealing with at the time. You're going to get all that, whether it's from my hash, my RSO, or my flower, which is everything is single sourced by me. If you see me with hash or with RSO or something like that, it's all coming straight rooted from the tutor, from the seed, or from the clone. And I've done it all in full cycle and bring that product to you. But let's get into the black market versus the legal market. First, it's a number of states as of 2025 that are fully legal states. There's 25 fully legal states. From my last, research, that's what I came up with, 25 fully legal. Fully legal meaning medicinal or recreational, when it comes to obtaining your flower. And 20 are mixed, meaning some don't get it confused. When some states say they are legal when it comes to cannabis, a lot of those places are just like Georgia, whereas they have a percentage of THC that is able to be in a product. So they say they have medical regulations and provide THC for people. So when you're going to different states and different places like that, make sure you check that. But 20 of the 25 fully legal states are mixed states, which means they're CBD only or just medical, or it may be decriminalized. Decriminalized, like I said, just means like here, some counties or here in Georgia that will decriminalize the marijuana, meaning that, like I said, you won't be penalized by the $1,000 fine or the probation that comes with getting caught with marijuana, whether it's an ounce or less, a seed or joint or whatever. They'll charge you with that, meaning that it's totally illegal. Now, in these places where it's decriminalized, they'll just give you like a fine or a ticket or something like that, make you toss out your cannabis and let you go on about your merry way. So there's places like that. And also some places may be just medical. Some places may be medical and recreational. Medical meaning that you have to have some type of medical card from a doctor saying that you're able to be dispensed marijuana, meaning that you can go and get marijuana from, whatever dispensary is in your area at the time. That's what it means to be medical. You have to have that card when you enter that state to be able to purchase cannabis in that state. Also, recreational, it means that you find you a good dispensary or a good place to go, you can go and get your cannabis, whatever it is, whether it's edible, dabs, you can just go in freely. Now, they will have regulations maybe about the amount that you can buy per day. Don't go in there just trying to, get your whole trap on and stuff like that. Most of the time it's for personal, it should be for personal use, but it's really there for, recreational. Whenever you want to go and whenever you need it, you can just go and get it. You know what I mean? And there are, like, when it comes to fully illegal states, there are 6 states that are still fully illegal, meaning they don't, no cannabis, nothing, no percentage or nothing like that. Those states would be Idaho, Nebraska, South Carolina, Kansas, North Carolina, and Wyoming. Last time I checked, these 6 are the 6 states that allow no cannabis, fully illegal still, like totally frowned upon. And that's, like that, like I say, that's the last time I checked. Now, I've never been to any, I've been to North Carolina, South Carolina, which I wouldn't advise anybody going through there with no marijuana, nothing like that. You might catch a cool person or something like that, but I wouldn't, especially if you have anything more than an ounce or something like that. I wouldn't advise those places. I have been those places, but Wyoming, Kansas, Idaho, Nebraska, I've never been there before, so I wouldn't be able really to tell you what it is. I've been places where it's been a legal market, and I've been places where it's black market only. You know what I mean? So like Georgia, which I would still classify Georgia as being a black market state only, just with, very lenient rules in certain places. Also, when I used to have a farm out in Oklahoma, there it was totally legal. But when it came to the cannabis, let's back up a little bit. So that's GA, black market. Okay, legal market. For today, those are going to be my two examples for my personal, understanding and from where I've been before. Now, when I was in Oklahoma and I was going there, it was mostly they had just went to some type of system that they call the metro system. Now, whenever you have that, it really wasn't a plant count on the amount of plants that we could grow at the time, but there was a lot of regulations that were coming to be. So every plant had to be tagged. You had to know where the plant went from seed to waste, which in the legal market, a lot of people think that the flower is just the only option for business. It's not the only option. There is a wide range of businesses to where in the cannabis industry to where you don't even have to touch the cannabis. To say that, there was really no plant number. Now, Oklahoma, when I was there, it was still new and very much like the Wild Wild West. So it was cannabis growers popping up everywhere, legal and illegal, which doesn't make sense to me if you're going big to go illegal in a legal state when you could just find the proper people and do the proper work and have your own legal situation going. Start small and go big. A lot of people want to just jump, and go big when it doesn't even have to be like that. Because to me, in the cannabis game, as long as you have good quality cannabis, it's always going to go. People love cannabis, whether you could get them enough where they could turn it into, concentrates themselves, or they do like the smoke flower. It really doesn't matter. If it's good flower, you're going to have a good, successful cannabis business in my eye. I mean, there's other places where the business can drop or something like that, but if you have good cannabis, it will usually carry you through in this business, especially a great flower, as long as you don't hold her out or anything like that. But for the legal market, like I said, there was no plant number. So we had, at the time I was there, we had two greenhouses, totally indoor greenhouses. So, I mean, it was like the best that you could get at the time. Or even now, still, if you ask me, if you have a greenhouse outside with supplemental light and the sun, and it's totally indoor, there's no better flower that you can grow, if you ask me. But we had two 30 by 90 greenhouses, totally enclosed with water wall, AC, and supplemental lighting. And we had 1,500 plants, 1,500 plants in each, not in each, in both of the greenhouses. So we did that. And when it came to like being in dispensaries and things of that nature, you still, there, it was not recreational. In Oklahoma, it was medical. So you had to have a card. But us being farmers there, of course, we found our ways to get our trees before ours was ready. You know what I'm saying? And get it out of the dispensary. A lot of the dispensaries still in the legal market like to go through the black market. A lot of them go out the back door, because that's where the real money is. I mean, then when you're getting taxed by the government and things of that nature, you don't want to pay all those taxes. So it's easier to do a backdoor situation if you find the right people that are honest and ready to go. So that's what, and we were those people honest and ready to go. So, when it came to still getting into dispensaries and getting stuff, we just found our favorite dispensaries that had the best cannabis that we could find and made relationships with those people so we could get it without having a medical card. Because in Oklahoma, when you had a medical card, before you got your medical card, you had to be there for a certain amount of time as far as being a resident and having an address before you could go get your card or yada, yada, yada. You know what I'm saying? We hit the ground running when we were there. We didn't do none of that. We made it out of there, but it was a great situation, but not a great situation. I have to tell y'all about that in another episode. It was a legal market, medical cannabis card market, not recreational. So we couldn't just go in any particular store and get what we wanted at any time. Now, here in Atlanta, in GA, it's totally black market. Any cannabis that you get in GA, you can get a lot of cannabis in GA, and it's all black market, all of it. Even if Atlanta was to turn to a legal market, there was still, I mean, because when you have your black market, there's so many people that stay loyal to the black market anyway. So no matter, it's not like a alcohol situation to where once alcohol went legal, there was no use for people to go and really get it from somebody in the back room or something like that because, alcohol is alcohol. It's all made the same way. It's all done through the same processes. It really doesn't have can't really have too much originality to your to your baking or making situation, whatever you want to call it. To whereas in cannabis, you can have over 1,000 mixes just to get to one endpoint from start to beginning. Everybody, there's so many original ways to do it, whether it's from using chemicals to going organic. There's so many ways of running that gamut when it comes to growing marijuana. So there will always be a black market. I don't care where you are, whether it's legal, medical, or recreational, because you have your loyal people that just like when it comes to cannabis, they know exactly where it's at, where it's done, how it's done, what were the inputs, and the actual attitude behind the plant. Some people believe in that, where your attitude can transfer through to the plant and give, other people that same situation. There's a lot of people that like to stick to what they know, so there will always be a black market. And even if GA was to go legal, tomorrow, I think the black market would still stand. Now, where it does help to go legal is for a lot of people that have been stigmatized by the plant, a lot of people that still really don't know or really uneducated about the plant. In a legal market, it's easier for people to, say, I'm interested in this. I want to know more about it, and I'm going to dab into this particular industry, or I'm going to dab into this particular thing to change my mood, to set my mood, or to change my health, or to better my health when it comes to certain things in that nature. So a legal market is very good and it's very destigmatizing when it comes to enlightening people that really don't know too much about the flower. It's still on some marijuana madness type shit. So, it helps in that way. And then once they go there and they find out, most of the time there's not too many dispensaries that really carry good flower because it's being, at that point, most people that get dispensaries, the flower is being manufactured basically. Manufactured meaning, they're dropping seeds, they're planting it, and then they're growing it, and they're trying to get it to you as fast as possible and buy as much as possible, Whereas in small batch, you know what I'm saying? It's not that. You're taking care of every little thing. So there's a lot of dispensaries that are not dealing with small batch growers, which is really a gap in the industry that I feel, is because of the certain legalizations of cannabis and, things of that nature. It's a weed to me. It's a beautiful flower, but it's a weed at the end of the day. It can be grown anywhere and damn near anything, and it's God given. Dare I say that, you know what I'm saying? It's God given. He put it here for us to obtain and for us to learn about. The more we learn about it, the more beneficial things we find out about the cannabis plant. So it being legal is a big thing that should happen. And I don't see why not, because, people need to be educated on this flower that can help in so many ways. But the black market would always be here because that's where the good flower is. Basically the good flowers at the black market because those people are taking their time. They have a reason to be growing. The black market, they have more to lose. It's a bigger chance of growing instead of just having a big investor drop some money on you. And you're like, oh, shit, I'm using somebody else's money. So, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do this shit like a 9-to-5 type job that I don't even fucking like, but I applied for, which makes no sense to me. How the fuck you apply for a job and you don't do what you're supposed to do? And it's the same in marijuana. If you have a big manufacturer or you have a person that has fields of weed or big warehouses full of weed, because I'm going to call it weed because at some point you passed it being cannabis and now you're just, extorting the plant basically for your financial gain, which is, I don't think why the plant was put here for us. So, when it comes to the black market, those that are still in the black market have a lot to lose. So they choose a better product. You know what I mean? Why choose an ass product if you're putting your ass on the line? It doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? So The black market is there for people and will always be there for people, you know what I'm saying? But even though I love the black market and I love dealing with the black market, like I said, the legal market still has a place here for cannabis in the industry for people to be enlightened and for people to be able to do, you know, scientific testing and be able to break it down to its very last compound so we can break it down to its very last compound so that people are being able to be educated on what it can do for them and how it can be beneficial for them instead of just something they would think of just to adulterate their state of being or their state of mind, to where they may lose it or don't understand what's going on, just thinking of it as getting you high or just thinking of it as being a high when it's more than just that. It's a stress reliever. It's almost like a medical massage of all the senses, when you partake in cannabis. And so whether it's the black market or the legal market, I would advise, for someone to find them some, And also here in Georgia, like I said earlier, we do have places where it's decriminalized, which is a beautiful thing. Anything under an ounce that you're just ticketed for. So I remember when that first happened, a lot of people were just out going wild smoking and stuff like that. And a lot of people, when it comes to that, a lot of people think that, oh goodness, when Atlanta go crazy, which I think it will be. It will be very crazy because, Atlanta has a lot of pioneers. We pioneer a lot of shit here in Atlanta when it comes to doing things first, breaking rules, going against the rules. Uh, for a greater cause, of course, but we're always that because we always have the powers that be to work against certain things, so here in Atlanta, we have to work a little bit harder than, the usual person when it comes to it, but being decriminalized in certain places lets you know that there are people here in Georgia that really feel that, it should be pushed forward instead of pulled back. Um, and that's very important. Like I said, and really, it's so important to me because I know of the medicinal value of cannabis, really, and that's what really does it for me, and what has me, with cannabis forever, whether it's be smoking it or just taking RSO. I take RSO on the regular, just as a preventative, just to stay healthy, just to have it in my body, just to, work for me, So that's just one thing I like about, cannabis, and whether it's legal or black market. I think it should be federally legalized. I've said that before, and I always will say that. But recently, within the news and stuff like that, and they are talking about decriminalizing it. I think that would be the best thing to do is decriminalize it. And I don't know, but instead of going federally all the way and just saying it's legal or scheduled, whatever, to decriminalize it, really saying that it's up to you, and it's a small fine or whatever if you have a certain amount, or anything like that, which, I mean, you can't walk around selling really, I mean, you can. I mean, like I say, in Atlanta, you'll see anything, but in most places, you just can't pull up and sell a whole bunch of product that's in the grocery store out of your trunk. They'll stop you and be like, you have a permit, you got this, you got that. You can't be out here just doing that. You work with the company, blah, 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 blah. So, it'll be that type of situation as well. But I feel that decriminalization is maybe the best way to go when it comes to cannabis, And also, it's just a lot of my perspective is from a grower's perspective. Now, from a patient's perspective, I would rather, this is hard to say, I just think I would rather go into, from a patient perspective, I would rather go into a dispensary. But knowing what I know, I would want dispensaries to have, instead of having it more government regulated, I think it should be more regulated by the people. And the people saying, what type of flower they should have and who should they accept flower from and where they should get it from. I mean, when it comes to the government, they don't mind you taking, or eating GMO foods or anything like that. So, when it comes to the cannabis, it's almost the same thing. I mean, I don't want GMO cannabis unless it's garlic cookies. I take that, you know what I mean? But other than that, I don't want any GMO cannabis. I don't want no PGR cannabis. I don't want cannabis with a whole bunch of heavy metals grown with it or in it or something like that that could cause more, bad than good and counteractive to what the plant is actually supposed to do at the end of the day anyway. So, when it comes to being in a legal market or a black market, the main thing is to make sure that the flower is grown in a right way, to make sure it's grown in a clean way. That's the best way, no matter where you get it, whether it's the black market or legal market. But like I said, from a patient standpoint, I would rather get my cannabis from a reputable dispensary, or if I was so privileged enough to meet a great grower, that's the only place I would get my flower from as a patient and from patient thoughts. And that would be and if I was a patient and I was big and really into cannabis, I would have to find me a grower. If not growing myself, doing it myself, just getting the knowledge and gaining the knowledge of the plant to do it myself. I mean, because it's just like any other house plant to where you can do yourself. And of course that puts you in the black market. But if you're just doing it for yourself, tight lips, you know what I'm saying? And keep the ship afloat. Loose lips, you know what I'm saying? Sink the ship. And that's with anything, but yeah, I know I put my health before any regulations, government regulations, people regulations, society regulations, or anything like that. If I know it works for me, it works for me. And every single one of the people out here are different. So, there's no one that could really say what works for you. And I don't know why people wouldn't do the education and get the education to know exactly what, is for them when it comes to their health and their bodies or something like that, because we want to be healthy. We want to live long lives for those that love us and our loved ones, if you're fortunate enough to have people in your life like that, or just do it for yourself, just, to have health for yourself, you know what I'm saying? Main and number one and the main focus to keep yourself healthy, because if you can't do that, you can't do anything for anyone else, past your front doorstep or your first step, period. So whether it's you're in a legal state or an illegal state and you may have some type of health problem, something like that, I would suggest for you to search out cannabis and see, or just, what I like to tell people is just, take the time and educate yourself. Don't be afraid to Google or just, drop down in that wormhole to see what helps you. Don't be afraid to read. I know these days, we have such a time restrained life, or we seem as though we do when don't have enough time to do things, but we all should find time to, keep ourselves healthy and our bodies in tune. So whether you're in a legal market or a black market, you know what I'm saying? Cannabis is something that can help you, and I just advise everyone to research that and just to, just enlighten yourselves on maybe it isn't for you. Maybe you tried it and make you wig out or something like that, or maybe you tried, or, but trust me, and it may not be the first, strand that you try, and that's the thing. The strand is like the rainbow, and it's deeper than the rainbow. So, just because you tried it one time or once when you was in high school and it didn't work for you, that maybe that particular strand wasn't for you. Maybe that the way that particular plant was grown wasn't for you. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that could be cons to the first time when you smoke, because a lot of us, the first time we smoked, we really didn't know where it was from. We just knew we was like, hey, we got a joint, we smoking, we get So, it really wasn't about education back then. But now, with the little that we do know, it can be beneficial. So from a patient standpoint, I would just say, find it and get it from wherever you can. And some states, there's different things like in the legal market that have, they have caregiver counts, meaning that the amount of, okay, let me back. Sometimes there's a plant count in legal states as well. That's what I was talking about. In Oklahoma didn't have a plant count. In some legal states, though, there are plant counts. So one person may be able to grow up to 6 mature plants or something like that. Let's say that's the case. If that is the case, so people, those growers will find certain patients that need cannabis. So if you say, let's say you find 2 patients that need cannabis plus yourself, and there's a 6 plant count, that's 666. So in that range, now you can grow 18 plants instead of just the 6 that you were growing by yourself. So some states do have a plant count, which is, I would say, really that's geared to really having everyone grow their own, but they still have dispensaries and places like that where you can go to and purchase your cannabis, whether it's medical or recreational. So there are some states like that. Some states are rec and some states are medical, some states are both. I don't know why they would do that, but I do know when you go into a dispensary, though, if you're medical, usually it's going to be a little bit cheaper than it is if you're rec. Rec, you pay a little bit more because you're there just for recreational. Medical patients need it, so it's going to be a little bit cheaper. So that's about it when it comes to black market and legal market. And, when it comes to my thoughts, like I said, me personally, I think it should just be decriminalized federally. In that way, each state and each person can choose what they want to do with it as far as growing their own, having a dispensary, having a, big bulk warehouse or whatever. And like I said, so many different phases of businesses in the cannabis industry that you can partake in, that if it's decriminalized, now you could, go around and see what type of job you want to have in the cannabis industry if you don't really want to deal with the flower. So let me just say thank y'all for joining me. Thank y'all for tapping in. Thank you for taking your time to watch the show here at the podcast. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you subscribe, tag, and like. And thank y'all for stopping in at Privilege Stash, the podcast hosted by DocGreenbody. Yo, where it's always a privilege. I appreciate y'all coming by. Holla at you. Peace.